Hey guys, this is Chris with Drop Dice. So I'm back again. This is another GMFit video. I told you earlier in the last one that I was going to do the next one on the protein when I opened it up later today. It is that time. So I've got a fresh, clean blender cup with me. Same one you saw earlier, if you can't tell by the color. I decided to do it dry this time. That way it didn't look all clumpy like it did last time when you guys take a look at it. So I cut open the bag already. I recommend that you use scissors, not a knife like me. That's a bad Southern boy habit that I picked up. So I carry a knife with me everywhere. That's the problem. So when you look at the myProtein stuff, just in general, let's see if you guys can take a look at it. It's pretty fine powder, which is actually really awesome because usually protein powders aren't nearly this fine. This stuff kind of looks like a biscuit mix maybe, or like a baking powder type, like pre-made cake in a bag type things. I'm fishing around. There should be a measuring cup in here somewhere. Apparently mine's hidden in the bottom or something. That's the only problem with these bags, is sometimes the measuring cup kind of gets hidden in there. That happens with boxes too, or the bins that you get from like other companies. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna go grab one from another bag that I've got floating around here. Okay, this will actually serve as a good opportunity for me as well, because I'm gonna grab the milk, because I decided that for this one I wanted to try it with milk, at least for the first go. Sorry about all that crinkling bag stuff. I know that's real loud on the microphone usually. So let me clean this out real quick so I don't get any of the unflavored mixed in there, because I still have a little bit of unflavored left. And I'll show you guys the milk that I like to use as well. So, by the way, wireless headsets are awesome and everybody should have them. Unless you have a really cool setup like Barker, who I found out is actually taking a look at this series as well, from Be a Better Game Master. If you've got an awesome mic setup, that's much better than what I've got. So stick with that. But let's clean out this scoop here. So the milk that I use is it's called Fairlife. It comes in a little bit of a different kind of container here. It's a 2% milk, but it is it's a reduced fat, ultra filtered milk, and it's got a couple other qualities inside here. And the big thing that I really like about it is, if you flip to the back, it kind of has the rundown here, which you guys can see right here. Basically 50% more protein, 50% more calcium, 50% less sugar, and no lactose. I don't really care about the lactose, to be honest. It's kind of something that's there. It is an enzyme that your body can break down, so it doesn't really matter, to be honest. However, let's take a look here. I do like the taste of it a lot. Normally lactose-free milk tastes pretty terrible, to be honest. So I've got that open. Let me set that aside. So myProtein usually gives you little scoops like this. I didn't show you the one that's inside the creatine bag. It's basically this, but much smaller. This is going to be a 25-gram scoop. Technically, if you want to get the most accurate reading, you should use a food scale, which I have one, but I'm not that anal. I just use the scoop and call it even. Let's see here. It smells really good, like a strawberry smell. Normally when you get a strawberry powder for protein, it's got kind of a chemical taste to it, or it's chemical smell and taste, I should say. This it's not like a natural natural strawberry smell, but it is kind of like one of those little like wax scent burner things. Kind of smells like a strawberry version of those. So we're gonna hear some bag crinkling real quick here. Seal that up, and I'm just gonna set this down right by my computer. All right, so this is the way it looks inside the cup. Still pretty loose, easy to move around. I'm gonna go ahead and drop my ball in there, and let's see, because we're doing a taste test, I'm just gonna do what they recommend. I usually cut every drink I do, whether it's a shake, creatine, blah, 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 just short. I usually cut the liquid volume in half. This one says 6 to 8 fluid ounces. Now, I think I'm going to do 6 because I ran into the problem that with the unflavored protein, when I used milk in that one, it was just way, way, way too sweet. So let's see how this turns out. Again, just like last time, I'm going to do like a 5-second shuffle around. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and do 8. That way I get it real thin, and it's kind of the way it's intended. So let me put this here. Now this Fairlife, unfortunately, due to computer issues, has been out of my fridge for a while. So let me go ahead and put this back real quick. That way it doesn't start to go bad on me or anything. Let me seal that up. Now, it's already kind of changing colors. You guys can kind of see the pink streak in here. You know what it kind of smells like to me? It's kind of like Strawberry Quick. And I heard that if you mix it with milk, it will taste like Strawberry Quick. So that's my hope here. Let me go ahead and mute you guys, and then we'll do a 5-second shake, and we'll see how it looks. If it needs more, we'll do more. All right, so that's 5 seconds. Now, usually what you can do is just kind of let it sit, and then if you turn it up, you can see how it flows. And that's pretty thin for a protein shake, to be honest. It's always going to have that little bit of film that's kind of left there. But if you take a look at it, there's only just a couple little chunkies right there that I'm going to shake it just a little bit more to get those out, because I can see maybe about 3 of them inside here. And that may be just the way that I was shaking. So let me mute you guys. I'm going to shake it for about 5 more seconds or so, just because I'm real particular about getting it nice and thin. All right, that looks like it cleared it up here. Look how smooth that is. It's moving around just like any sort of other liquid, so that's awesome to see. Normally, protein shakes do have like a real strong viscosity to them, so they leave that filmy look. Let's give it a taste here. So here's to hoping for Strawberry Quick. Actually, let's smell it first. It smells like it's definitely got that chemical smell. It's not a real strawberry smell. It looks like my cat's hunting for the chicken that I have set out for dinner. So it's definitely a like a chemical smell, but it's normally protein almost has like a weird, like you can smell the flavor, but you also smell like almost a flour smell to it, even though there's no flour in it. I don't have that flour smell, but I do have like a kind of a chemically strawberry. Let's see how it tastes. So it's actually really smooth to drink, which doesn't surprise me. I had the unflavored, and the flavor was the problem, not, well, the flavor with milk, and it was a little too sweet for me just generally. It was smooth. This one is just as smooth. It is actually really close to a Strawberry Quick with the milk, but not heavy like I would drink it. I'm guilty of being one of those guys that if I have the Strawberry Quick powder, I'm going in like 4, maybe 5 times in there for a little 8-ounce glass of milk. It's definitely thinner, but it's pretty good, actually. I would probably regularly drink this one. I think the next time I order, I'm probably going to try a different flavor just to try another flavor from them. And the one that I had a super hard time arguing with myself as to which one I wanted to get this time was there's a mint chocolate, and I love mint chocolate. And then there's this strawberry one. They also have one that's Rocky Road that piqued my interest, but I read a review or a couple of reviews, and they said it wasn't quite Rocky Road. It kind of tastes like chocolate light, and I'm not a big chocolate guy to begin with, but I do like mint chocolate, which is what's caught my attention there. This is pretty good. I will try it with water and give you guys an update. I'll probably put it as a comment to this video so that you can see it there once I try it with water, which will probably be after I work out. Yeah, that's pretty good. So the second thing that I promised you guys inside this video was to talk to you about what macronutrients are and basic diet things. So I mentioned that tonight I'm making chicken. That's protein-dense food. For a side, I'm probably going to use, I think tonight, just because I have the extra room in my diet, I'm probably just going to use like Annie's macaroni and cheese to get a little bit of carbs in. It's really good organic macaroni cheese, and it's really not expensive. So if you do happen to see that on the shelves, they're pretty good. It's a little bit drier than a normal macaroni and cheese. I'm not going to lie to you, but I actually kind of like the taste of it a little better. I mean, not to say that I won't chow down on a box of Velveeta or something, which I actually really like the Kroger knockoff brand Velveeta better. I think it just tastes amazing, but that's a whole different story. But the Annie's, you usually get a little bit healthier carb, even though it's still kind of a junky type food. Like I said, I'm not 100% on my diet. I believe in following kind of the spirit, if you will. Hold on a sec. Sorry about that. I have an alarm that's actually for pretty much every day except for today. I forgot to turn it off. So during this whole process of learning, I've actually kind of a little bit ahead of the power curve as far as these videos go. I'm actually going to be kind of talking to you about what I've learned, and I'm going to show you something. And if I can figure out how to do it without necessarily destroying what I've written here, I'll share a document with you guys once I am done with it as well. So let me go ahead and share screens, and I will actually, before we share screens, I'm going to talk to you about some of the basic stuff. So with macronutrients, the idea is that your macronutrients are broken down into different categories. Everything that is not in this is what's referred to as micronutrients, which are still important, but these are the things that you can most easily control. The micronutrients kind of come with you just eating other things. If you don't happen to eat green leafy vegetables, that's where a lot of your micronutrients come from, and I would definitely suggest a vitamin, which is part of the reason why I use a vitamin. I don't do a lot of that. So the macronutrients themselves, there's 4 of them that you need to pay attention to. There's proteins, carbs, or carbohydrates, and then fats, which all add up to create calories. And how that works is for each gram of protein and carbs, they are effectively 4 calories to burn. For each fat gram, it is 9 calories to burn. So whenever you look at a label on the back of a back of food or anything like that, it'll tell you the overall calorie count. And if you're curious on how they come across it, this is how they do it. Essentially, the protein gram number times 4, the carb gram number times 4, and then the fat number times 9, and add all 3 of those together, and that should equal the calories that are on the label. And all those micronutrients, they don't actually fluctuate the overall calorie count, so that's accurate to do it that way. Another thing that's kind of interesting to know, not that it's super important, is calories are actually, the calories that we eat are based upon calories being burned in science and chemistry. However, what we consume and view as a calorie on label is actually called a kilocalorie. So it's actually a unit of energy. So that kind of helps you understand how we burn food, and that food is measured in energy, not necessarily some abstract form called calories. It really does have to do with the scientific version of calories. So how this works is there's kind of 2 schools of thought. I'm going to put links below for a gentleman named Matty Fusaro. I've talked about him a couple times. I think his early videos are super important, so I'm going to throw his name out probably like 5 times in the next couple of videos. I've got a 3-part series about nutrition where he's going to go over this in much greater detail than I can. I've got kind of the nitty-gritty version. So the way he talks about doing it inside there is basically you have to first find out what your maintenance calories are, and then you will be able to figure out what you want to do to lose weight or gain weight, whatever the case may be. So what he suggests is you figure out your actual current weight, and then with that you can multiply your current weight by 14 or 16 if you exercise for about an hour or so every other day or so. And that'll give you a basic rough number. Now, there are some calculators that are online. He's got some. The calculators may be a little bit more accurate if you have a schedule that allows you to work out even more or work out even less. But he was saying that for men, you should calculate closer to the 16 side. For women, you should calculate more towards the 14 side. So for me, I'm going to calculate for the 16 side, and I'm going to show you guys a quick spreadsheet I worked up in Google, and I haven't even titled it, but once I get it titled, I will probably just release it to you guys so that you can use the tool that I made, because honestly, there's no reason not to. So let me share screens here. I'm just moving you guys over to my other screen. All right, here we go. Here's my spreadsheet. What I am going to do real quick is, let's get some zoom in view. Actually, that didn't do what I was hoping for. Let's do this instead. I am going to increase the cell size, and then that should make everything a lot easier to read and understand where I'm going with it. Let me look at my shared screen here. All right, perfect. That's pretty good to see. So what I'm going to do is put in my age. This is not super important. I just like having it there. So 29, and then my height, which is 6 foot. Again, not super important. I like having it there, so that's why I'm including it. Now weight. This weight calculation is based upon the American pound standard. I know I have some viewers that are outside of America and are watching videos just generally by me. If you do happen to be watching, unfortunately, you will have to make that conversion. There are calculators online that will make it easy for you if you don't happen to know how much your weight is in pounds. So I mentioned before that I am at 218 right now. So what I'm about to do before I hit enter is, if you notice, there's a lot of numbers that are already showing here. I've already built calculations. So once I click this, it's going to start filling in things for me automatically. Honestly, those are 3 spots that you're going to need to fill in. Okay, so bam, there we go. I've got all my numbers that I could possibly need. Now these are hard numbers. Let me show you what I would do in all honesty. So Matty talks about inside his video that there's a couple ways that people count macros, one of which is to do what's called a 40-40-20 split, meaning you get 40% of protein, 40% carbs, and 20% fat. Then there's the bodybuilding standard, if you will, which is basically it's based upon carbs are your least important thing. Carbs are where you'll get extra sugars, or at least carbs will become sugars inside your body. So it's basically making carbs the smallest focal point. But you are going to notice that you're going to get more carbs out of it usually than you would with a 40-40-20 split, simply because they're expecting you to push more in workouts, and that's why these numbers don't really show too closely to the same. So how it works is, this one was pretty straightforward. So this is 16 times my body weight, 34488, which is right here on both of these. And this is the 40%, 40%, and then again 20%. Easy enough to figure out. Now over here, bodybuilding is a little different. How it works is, for every pound you weigh, you want to do a gram of protein. Now, it's not the weight that you ideally want to become, it is your current weight. And we'll show you how that really changes here in a second. So for me to maintain my current weight without exercise, without doing anything special, I would need 218 grams of protein. Well, really, if I was maintaining my weight and not caring about necessarily losing, I'd probably go with the 40-40 split, because I really wouldn't need that much protein, to be honest. But if I was trying to work out and do things that I am doing, I like the bodybuilding method a little bit better, because it does encourage your muscles to continue growing. So I've got 218, which would be my actual weight, and pounds is now grams of protein. That is quite a bit of protein. Just to give you a general idea, chicken is usually 40 grams of protein. Usually your luncheons and dinner, you're probably getting about 40 to 60, depending on how well you pack your meal, of protein. And unless you add shakes in there, which that's what I do, is because I have quite a bit of protein to take in per day, I supplement with shakes. And I usually have them with stuff like breakfast and a snack, and then maybe for like a late night snack or something like that. It's not super thick, and it stays easy in your stomach. It doesn't go bad or anything like that. It doesn't make your stomach tear up. At least myProtein doesn't. Some protein brands will. Hold on, had to take a protein break there. And then the fat is calculated as your body weight times 25%. So this one is a little bit different. So you'll notice that with the bodybuilding method, your fats are pretty much always going to be a little bit lower than the 40-40 split or 40-40-20 split. And that's because they're just trying to limit the amount of fats that you take in, because the fats are harder to burn and they are healthy. You shouldn't cut them out completely, just like you shouldn't cut out carbs. All of these macronutrients are 100% healthy and good for you. It's just you should have them in appropriate levels. So the carbs is really where you're going to see the difference between these splits, the split and the bodybuilding here. Like I said, bodybuilding will typically give you a little bit more carbs, but that's mainly because they expect you to work out a little bit more. So if you noticed, 218, 54.5, 531.375 is some pretty brutal, terrible numbers. If I was to kind of eyeball this, I would say probably 218 for my calories, probably about 4 because I'm going to round down. And I'd say 530 just to make it easy. If you get less carbs than this, it's not a huge deal. And I would say that this is probably what I would need for if I was lightly working out and I still wanted to maintain the shape that I had developed through bodybuilding. If I'm like taking a break for a week or so or something like that, or perhaps maybe I get sick. This is probably what I would do. Now, if you want to lose weight, it's going to change the numbers a little bit. So you can have a deficit that ranges between 1 and 500 calories. There's kind of a mixed opinion on which ones you should do or should not do, whether you should go from 100 to 500. I like 500. It fits me. Like if you check Matty's videos, he suggests that you start with 100, and then if it doesn't feel good, move up to 200 and do like that. I pretty much just jump into 500. Like I said, I've had good experience with it. It works for me. So what I do then is I just take 500 from this maintenance calorie total, and then I basically apply the same math that I did before. So the cool thing is when you get a copy of this document, you can actually just change this. So now I've got this right here, right? It says 3488 is my actual number of what I need. But in reality, I can make that, let's say, 3450, just to make it clean and easy on me. So what I can do is actually change this. I'm actually going to write this out so that the formula sheet looks a little cleaner. But for now, I'm just going to change this directly and say that 3450 is what we want. Once I do that, it's going to change these calculations just a hair, and it's still going to make this one kind of wonky, but it does give you a little bit cleaner, rounder numbers. So what I would do is then just round down. So 520 is easy to remember for your carbs here. I'd say 395 here, 645 here, 54, 54, 54, 218, 218, easy enough. Now, Matty talks about in his videos that is it possible to lose weight and gain muscle at the same time? He says technically no. If you are out of shape, gaining muscle, you will lose fat. That is a fact. What he's referring to is if you are cutting, like you were someone who is actually fit already and you were cutting down, trying to reduce the amount of fat you have, because a lot of bodybuilders do what's called a building phase and a cutting phase to help them kind of beat plateaus in their workouts. If you are in that cycle, no, you are not going to gain muscle. But if you eat correctly and have the proper amount of protein that you should have, you should be able to keep the muscle that you have for the most part. You may see a little bit of reduction in muscle volume, but you should be able to bounce back really quickly when you start doing the building phase. Just to kind of keep that in mind there. So me just copy this formula here. Equals B4 times 16. All right. I don't know why it came out like that. I will just back up then. There we go. And what I'll do is I'll set this to where this rounds, and that'll fix it. Which I have to remember how to make Google round. So I'm not going to do that in the middle of this video because I'm probably going to screw it up. Let me go ahead and stop sharing it for now. Like I said, once I get this thing finalized, I am going to share it with you guys so that you can just have an easy, quick calculator to give you your numbers if you want it. If you want to do it by hand, I like checking math. So usually when I get a spreadsheet, I check it. So doesn't bother me if you want to check my work. And if you do notice anything, I'm going to have comments turned on in here. So let me know so that I can get that corrected. That's basically how food goes just in general. One of the things that pretty much everybody will tell you is, eat good foods. And it's not crazy or anything like that. You don't need to eat organic. You don't really need to go out and buy the super expensive stuff. It's just you should try and limit the amount of like toxins that may be inside there or chemicals that were fed to the animal before you eat it in the case of protein, or sprayed on the plant if you're eating some sort of plant matter. Usually fresher products are a little bit better choice. If you happen to have a butcher nearby that will give you a good deal, that's usually a great place to go. Or you could be like me, and I do have butchers nearby, but I really don't know of any good ones right now where I live. So I go to Sam's Club, which is kind of one of those bulk wholesale stores, and I pick up Tyson's 99% fat-free chicken and in big bags. And I usually get about 2 of those every other week so that I can make it through the weeks there, because I eat a lot of chicken, because I mentioned it before. Chicken breast being one of the best options is about 40 grams of protein for 8 ounces. So for me, having to make 218 grams of protein per day, let's do that real quick here. 218 divided by 40, I would have to eat 5 chicken breasts per day just to get my protein. If I was to solely, actually I'd have to eat 6 because it's 5.45 or 5.5 anyways. I would have to eat that much chicken breasts every day just to hit my protein from food alone, which is why I said I like adding shakes. I mentioned the shake earlier being a protein shake. The reason I chose a whey isolate is it's a little cleaner. It mixes better. And it's a little bit leaner as far as the calorie count's concerned. This one's only 90 calories. It is 21 grams of protein. It has no fat and less than 1 gram of carbohydrate. So not bad at all. And that is per drink. So, I mean, just by drinking 2 of these, I eliminate a whole chicken breast. And I'm trying to get myself targeted in to where I eat 4 meals a day, which is really hard for me. I mentioned that I only eat 1 meal typically per day, and I really got to fix that. So I think by supplementing in the shake to eliminate maybe a 5th or even 6th meal that I may have to take without it, it does help out. So right now, just initially thinking about it, I'll probably end up with 3 shakes a day and then like 4 chicken breasts or whatever else I end up making. If you do make stuff like, beef, like ground beef, make sure you get the lean ground beef. I would suggest turkey over ground beef because the turkey has higher protein content. If you're looking to get higher protein content, if you are going for the 40-40 split, not super important. You can stick with beef. Get spinach. That's one of my favorite green leafy vegetables. It's one of the few ones that I do eat, and it does have some protein in there. Quinoa is a pretty good source of protein, but so is rice. If you don't like quinoa, I think quinoa has kind of a spongy, weird, gross texture to it. So I like brown rice and white rice. I'm not huge on white rice like all the time, but originally when I started working out and doing it, I ate white rice because I wanted to work my way over to brown rice because I'm not a huge fan of brown rice to begin with. I know it's a lot better for me and it has micronutrients in it already, which would be helpful. I just not a big fan of it. So I'm going to have to get to that point as well. One of the other things I wanted to mention is limit your salt intake. You've probably heard that before. Essentially, salt will cause water retention, and it will cause you to kind of get a bloating effect. You'll look bigger than you necessarily are. Again, that's not something that I'm super good at following, and I'm going to be working on that. Good news is, if you do like spicy food is good for your heart, and it does have some health benefits because it raises your internal temperature. You technically burn a little bit more calories eating spicy food, or at least the period after spicy food, than you would for non-spicy food. But it's so marginal that it's not a huge benefit. Really, the benefit is like your heart. It's better for your skin to eat spicy food and things like that, which is why I have crushed red peppers on my computer desk, because they go on everything. If you decide to food prep, I will do a video that I talk about food prep in general. I have a good Canon camera, which is a DSLR. I can set up on a tripod and take it in the kitchen with me, but my kitchen is really small, so I don't know that I'm going to necessarily do that. Plus, I don't know. I wish I had a Nikon, to be honest. I got this camera when I was doing my photography classes, and I think Nikons are just a little bit nicer than Canons, but that's just personal opinion. But if I don't make it in the kitchen, I'll talk to you about what I basically do. I can tell you right now, I've got a lot of dust here apparently. I can tell you right now, most of my food prep revolves around chicken and the side, the carb for it. I like the way that Derek Wida talks about is, I kind of do mine kind of similar to the way he says it, is protein, carb, maybe a vegetable. And that's pretty much how I do it. One of my favorite things to do is, I mentioned it in another video, the protein spinach meatballs. Take an unflavored protein, throw it inside your ground beef while you're mixing it. Add a little bit of spaghetti sauce just to keep it a little bit moist, because that protein powder is going to dry out the meat a little bit. Roll it into some meatballs about 1.5 inches big. Throw it inside the oven, cook it up. Again, if you go to Fit Men Cook, or not Fit Men Cook, yeah, Fit Men Cook, he's got the recipe on there. I just didn't use barbecue sauce. I instead used that Italian, the Italian spaghetti sauce stuff. And that is my favorite meal by far. And it's an easy way to cheat in protein. If you do it like that, it ends up being something like 17 grams of protein per meatball, which means if you eat like 3 of them, you're getting a pretty good meal that's not chicken. And 3 meatballs that are only about yay big are not hard to take in. So very easy. My best advice for you is if you have trouble getting to the higher protein count, get yourself a vanilla, an unflavored chocolate protein, one of those 3, and you can cook with it. Really easy. Vanilla or unflavored is the best one to cook with, because most things you cook with, you will not taste it. And then vanilla is probably the next best, because it just kind of lightens the flavor of what you're cooking with if you have to use vanilla. And then chocolate would be my last option, because you will almost always have a hint of chocolate to whatever you're eating. So if you happen to love chocolate, that might be a good option for you. All right, guys, that's pretty much what I've got as far as the nutrition and my protein shake is concerned. I will be, I think, heading to the gym shortly after this video, which I really shouldn't have drank this so close to the gym. Typically, when you go to the gym, you don't really want to drink a protein shake or eat anything about 30 minutes before. It's just, it feels heavy on your stomach. But I think I'll be all right. I've done it before. And then when you get out of the gym, this is where those little pots come in handy. I'm going to fill up one of them with a scoop of protein powder as soon as you're done with the gym. It's actually really awesome to go ahead and refill the protein, because as you're working out, you're actually eating away the proteins that are now in your system and things like that. So I will probably take a protein with me. I'm going to try the pre-workout, and I'll throw it inside another pot. If my phone wants to behave, I may do a video from the phone talking about what I think about the pre-workout. It is the raspberry lemonade flavor, so I'm a little not excited about that, but we'll see how it goes. All right, guys, that is what I've got for this video. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you at the gaming table.